Hey lads, welcome back to another episode of the Blunder Run. We are at 850 and it looks like we're getting a Caro Kann this game. So the moves for the Caro Kann are c6, d5. For those of you who are not familiar, we always go c6 and on move 2, regardless of what they do, we go d5. In this variation, he's taken the pawn. So this is called the exchange Caro Kann, where they exchange the pawn in the center. He's put a pawn into the center himself. And I actually usually play knight c6 just on instinct. You know, I'm just ready to play it immediately. But I actually like the move bishop g4 a little more because it kind of hints at, you know, subconsciously your opponent's not going to bring their bishop out here. They're going to want to just remove your pin. So if you want to start with this move first and then play knight c6, because if you play knight c6 first, often they'll pin you. And I just don't like being pinned. I find it more annoying than them being careful about the pin on themselves, if that makes sense. We just get our pieces onto these squares. If they ever kick, you need to ask yourself a question. Do they have a knight here or a bishop here? If they don't, then we keep the bishop. If they do have a knight here or a bishop here, we take. Okay, and this is just in the exchange variation, just a few rules to remember. Their bishop's here. Let's challenge it with our bishop on d6. We're defending with the queen, and we're going to recapture very, very soon here if they want to take. Okay, this move we have to be a little careful of. That knight was kind of pinned, so now this bishop is hit twice and only defended once. So we need to deal with this before we deal with the knight. Now we could like capture here, and they capture here, and we capture here. That would be good, but they don't have to do that. So if we capture here, they can just take back here, hit our knight, and still be hitting the bishop. So yeah, generally in this kind of position, I always just take the bishop. If the knight moves, we just take whatever was behind it. And then we worry about the knight here on e5. Now the mistake that you could fall into is capturing with your knight on c6. And why is this a mistake? Because it's a fork. He actually hits both of our pieces. And yes, we could take the pawn, but he could recapture. He's got two defenders here. So this is no good. The move I like to go for is putting my queen on either b6 or c7. Now, there's a reason I want to protect my knight here. If you don't protect your knight and he's able to capture here and you take here, then you don't have your two pawns together anymore. And you always want to have your two pawns together in the Caro Kann exchange because you want to push them up the board together and attack the c3 pawn. So try to keep these together if you can. I'm going to put my queen here on c7. I don't want to block my pawn. My pawn might want to move up to b6 or b5. So I don't want to get in its way, but I am just going to put my queen here. Now, another thing with this move is we have three attackers on this knight. And yes, they have three defenders, but if one of these two pieces move, then we could capture here and maybe win a pawn. So that is something just to keep in the back of our minds. We'll see what our opponent goes for here. I'm planning on castling next. Okay, yeah, we're going to just get castled. You generally castle kingside in the Caro Kann exchange because these pawns are going to push. And now he's got four defenders of this. Not too worried. I'm just going to put my rook on b8 and push the pawn all the way up to b5. And this is going to be an exchange Caro Kann minority attack. Attacking with the two pawns against the three. So it's going to create a backwards pawn. A backwards pawn is a pawn not defended by another pawn. So often what happens is you get your pawn here, you take, and they have this pawn here, and it's not defended by anything else. And we can just pile up and attack it and eventually win it. So that's sort of the goal. And our opponent's goal will be trying to checkmate us. They're probably going to lose over on this side, but they might, if they can find some good moves and we don't defend correctly, might be able to checkmate us. So we'll see how this continues. Okay, this move's good. We're just going to go b5 and probably a5 next, b4 after that, take, and they're just going to have to wait for us to capture, then they'll capture, and then we can start targeting c3. That'll be sort of our main goal here. Okay, so he's pushed forwards. I can go here if he takes. I'm happy jumping my knight in because the knight can then jump to one of these squares, and also this pawn will be backwards if he captures. So that's something to think about. No pawns are defending this guy, so he's very weak right now. Okay, now the queen's defending. We're just going to capture here. And I'd love to just be able to take here and attack here, but obviously we can't take here with this knight. We could captures, but there's no real need because there's no winning this pawn because the queen's defending it. So we're just going to instead move our rook over to a8 and attack this guy. And if he doesn't take us, we'll probably move up to here because we'll be defended and we can put the other rook behind. So we'll have two rooks on the A file. Probably he's going to capture here and then we would retake, but we'll see. Now, I don't know if I've made any mistakes. I don't think I've made any mistakes yet, but we will be checking after the game, the review, to see if any of these moves and plans that I've gone through are mistakes. And that's how you improve at your chess. You just go back, you look at the game that you played, and you try to see where you went wrong. So we will be doing that very briefly after the game is finished. My next plan is to put my rook on a8, and the two rooks are going to be doubled, and they're going to be looking at this guy, and he'll probably take, and maybe we even take with pawn. Okay, we're going to take with pawn, and now this pawn is a passed pawn, so maybe we can push it down the board and see if we can get it to a1. If we could, that would probably be quite good for us. I'm going to put the other rook here, defending the pawn. And maybe there's some ideas of like take, winning two pawns for a bishop. Could be an interesting sort of sacrifice. I kind of like that idea, especially if we get a knight here, you know, hitting here and attacking that a1 square, which is the one that we want to promote on. If we are low on the clock, we do just have a couple very simple moves to play, just pushing the pawn very quickly. But I'm not entirely sure yet. Another move that I haven't really been considering is knight e4. Knight e4 looks really good because it attacks that backwards pawn, and also it can't be taken. Okay, here he's just captured our knight, so we could capture here first and then capture here, or we could capture here, then he captures here, and then we come here. And I actually prefer capturing the bishop first, because if I capture the knight first, then he captures here, and my queen's on a square that doesn't want to be on. It wants to look at the c3 pawn. So let's take the bishop first, and he has to take with knight, which kind of undevelops his knight. Then we take the knight here, and we're looking at this. We can add our knight here to e4 to attack this, and it's not going to be very easy for him to defend two attackers on this pawn and only one defender. So he's going to have to bring the rook over, and maybe we can start pushing Arnold down the board. It's looking like finally maybe we're going to have some sort of chance to maybe pull ahead here. Okay, so he defends this way. I actually think that's a much better move. I wasn't expecting that. So one thing we can do is swap the rook to the C rank and, you know, attack here with the queen. Which I kind of like. We go here and then take, you know, take. We could do that. And he can't take here because the queen's looking at this. I think this works. Yeah, let's try it. obviously we take with the knight first because the rook's defending. If we took with the queen first, we lose our queen. Okay, so he's attacking the queen. So we're going to have to move somewhere. And if I move here, then I stop attacking this pawn. But if I move here, then I stop defending this pawn. So it's kind of a little annoying. But maybe what we can do is play this very slowly. Like we'll put the queen here first, maybe play f6 and then come back here. Might be the way to go. We'll try this. And his queen and rook are both tied down to defending that pawn. So, you know, maybe it's a bit annoying for them. They could also try to kick our knight. If they do that, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I could jump in here and look at this square because the queen's defending that square now. Okay, and they've decided to push. I think that's a good move because obviously we can't take with the queen because we lose the queen. We can't take with the pawn because they take our knight. And if we take with the rook, then they take our knight and we take them. So it does look quite good, but I also think maybe we can take b4. So we take on b4 and they take here. And then maybe we can move the rook in. It's not obvious, but I'm going to take on here. And they can never take here because we take the rook. And we do have this check. Okay. So do we look at this check? They have to go here. And then maybe we can grab this pawn. If they take us, we can't take here. Never mind. We could start with this move. The queen takes. That doesn't work. We could also just take here. Keep everything solid. Look for the check a wee bit later. The check doesn't really do anything right now. Yeah, so I'm just going to capture. And we'll just hold on to our knight. We are up a pawn here because we grabbed this pawn on b4. And I think this game has been fairly instructive because we've actually done a whole minority attack. And, you know, often there's something else at these lower elo levels where something else happens before you're able to get your whole attack in. Okay, so we do have to be a little careful here. He's looking at this pawn. We could just defend it. We also could... Okay, he resigned. I was going to say we could move it. We could defend it. But what else could we go for? We have a check here. He goes here. I wasn't seeing like a huge finish, but maybe I'm missing something. So let's just jump into the review and have a look and see. Okay, we played with an 88% accuracy. Everything looked very clean. They were never winning the game. We could just flick through the moves here. All of these moves were good. And it was slightly inaccurate to go here first. We should have put the knight in here and looked at that c3 pawn, which is something I mentioned afterwards that I probably could have done. And it was better to take here first and then keep the queen looking here. Okay, and yeah, moving the knight back and going here, because that's a nice fork. The rook can no longer be blockading our pawn, and maybe we could start pushing it up. That would have been a nice way to play. And this move was good. And then here I missed something. What did I miss? Okay, so apparently it was better to check. And after this, we just go here. And we're defending the knight. And the knight is holding this square, and we're threatening checkmate in one, so they have to give up the queen. That would have been really nice. Didn't see that. But then at the very end here, after they move their queen, the engine says that our best move was rook c7. We also had d6 to defend or knight f6, and pawn f6 would not have been as accurate, but it looks like it was a good move too. So a lot of different options there. I don't know why he resigned at the end, but I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you learned something. I'll see you guys all very soon. Bye for now.